What's up, guys? I'm going to teach you how to take 300,000, turn it into $1 million, turn it into $3 million in under 6 years, and this is how I did it. What's up, guys? Sam Taggart here. I am here with Jason Harris, and this is an apartment complex that we bought 2 years ago. And I'm going to tell you a story of how I took $300,000 6 years ago and I turned it into $1 million, so I tripled it, and then I turned that million and I tripled it again. So if you want to learn how to take money that you make in selling or whatever you're doing and actually go make millions of dollars in tax savings and appreciation and rent rolls and all the stuff that we've done over the last couple of years, check this video out. We're about to blow your mind. So here we are in White Pines, and we're gonna give you the tour, but let's check out the video 2 years ago so you can kind of see the story and what's going on. So all these units are 2-bedroom, and you know, it's built in the late 60s. We're off 33rd South in Salt Lake City, and you can see each of these kind of have 4 doors, so you have 2 up, 2 down. They're 2-bedroom units, and you know, they have not been updated in a long time, right?
No,
like pretty old. So what's kind of the $800,000 going to kind of go to take the average rent right now is about $800, a little over $800 per door. So you do the math, 50 times a little over $800 per door. Our goal is to do what?
So my approach to it is always, how can we maximize the potential return on the capital? In my experience, I've found that if you can update the exterior, you're impacting 56 families here.
Yeah.
And usually exterior improvements don't cost as much money as, say, an interior improvement would when you're dealing with a lot more material. And so paint goes a long ways. And so we're looking at ways to bring in a 2-tone paint, do some updates to make it a little bit more modern, and maybe even rebrand so that we can show that we're no longer Royal Gardens. This is a new, updated, modern, and we want to attract a tenant profile that's maybe white collar, who's working downtown, wants a nicer place to live, enjoys the tech friendly of controlling their thermostat and a keyless entry. And so we're going to start with the exterior and make a facelift for the whole community, and then start tackling the insides, because we'll immediately get a rent bump just from the exterior improvement.
So now we're at 216, and this is a unit that hasn't been renovated, and it's vacant. We're about to renovate. So this was 56 units, and we decided to say, hey, let's start renovating. We spent about $20,000 per unit to renovate. So we're going to show you what they looked like, and then we're going to show you what we turned them into. So check this out. This wall right here is something I want you to pay attention to. So obviously family room, these are all 2-bedroom units. And so as you come in here, check this out. You've got this like little kitchen and little table in here you'd put, and little like pantry, and this is where the furnace is, and this is where we kind of ran into problems. We're like, okay, water heater, furnace being right here, you can't really move this or else it'd cost a lot of money. And so you'll see in the next one so what we did to get creative. You also had washers and dryers that were chilling right here, so you're like, well, we got a laundry room, a kitchen, furnace, all crammed right there. What are we gonna do? You also have this like little storage closet, so I'm gonna show you what we did. So bathroom, you got bathroom, bedroom, bedroom. Really simple units, okay? And the average rent, so this is important. Average rent was $795 for all 56 units. So that's just across the board. When we got here, it was a bunch of poly families. You know, everybody's paying in cash. There's no like, and so we just said, hey, I asked Jason, what did we think we could get? And this was all speculation. It's like, what if we changed this, what was the rent bump that we anticipated?
I think we budgeted $1,200 a unit.
So we're like, okay, like, can we go from $800 to $1,200?
And I was like a big jump.
That was aggressive. Yeah. Like back then we were like, okay, and I'm like, dude, let's just be conservative. Let's say it's $1,000, right? What happens when you change rent from $800 to $1,200 a unit? What happens to cap rates, appreciation of the actual value out of a unit? What does that do?
net operating income divided by cap rate equals property value. And so a 50% increase in rental rates, as long as operating costs, remain the same, that could be as much as a 50% increase to the value of the building, which is almost what we got here, I think. So
we're going to go and show you kind of the renovation of a unit, and then we're going to talk numbers. So keep watching, because this is crazy to see the actual numbers of what happened over the last 2 years. All right, so what then happened is we used to call this thing the Royal Gardens Apartments. And I grew up on a street, White Pine Canyon Road. And so we were like, let's give this a whole new look, a whole new theme, a whole new management system. And that's something that tenants can be like, oh my gosh, new people coming in and changing the place. So we changed it to White Pines. We then painted all the exterior white, and we said, hey, let's make this place seem really nice.
I mean, a big part of taking over a property and rebranding it is you want to help the tenant base realize new ownership's coming in is going to make a meaningful difference to the community. This is the place that they're going to live and make memories, and so it's about creating good housing for citizens and a tenant base here. And so what we normally want to do is create a new name, which we did, made it memorable for us, something that is something that we care about. But then beyond that, do all the exterior improvements that we did. And so as you'll notice on all the doors, we have new front doors, new lights, new numbers, two-tone exterior paint, made it a lot more modern and nice for people to be proud of when they invite their friends and family to come over and visit. And so this concept of improving the optics and the curb appeal allows us and causes for tenants to be willing to pay a lot more in rent due to the nicer housing that we're being able to provide.
And one thing that I paid attention to is right across the street, there's been a new apartment complex put in. So it increased the value just automatically, saying, hey, there's some new builds. This isn't just an old crappy area, what it used to be, which also helped us make that decision to purchase this place.
Which is also great for rental rates, because usually you've got new product, Class A over here, pulling up rents, and a Class C repositioning to Class B type property in order to get higher rent rate. And so that naturally was a good appeal for why this property.
Cool. All right, so now we're here at Unit 282, and this is one that's been fully renovated. No one's moved in yet, so come and check this out. We tore this whole wall out, right? So now you have this open access. You can put a little dining room table here. And what's interesting is you still have the furnace and the water heater there. And then we were able to actually get these really energy efficient washer and dryers that were specially fit for a place like this. And we didn't have to run emissions all the way out. So this is something that increases the rent rates, was because now you don't have to go to a laundromat. Now what's also important to know is these all have parking units with like overhead parking. And so we actually built storage that we could increase rent. We could say, hey, do you want storage unit? Because these are small units. Pay an extra XYZ for rents there. We said pet rates. We said, what other things do we look for to say, let's increase rent?
Parking, storage units, media package, we rolled out a little bit. There's a tax for covered parking that you can charge. I think that was the biggest ones. Oh, and then we have a utility build back. It's called a, oh gee, I can't remember what it's called right now. It's a utility.
Basically a package that they can get, and that helps us increase the rents, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, as you go advertise your rent, you're like, hey, it's $1,200, but after parking, the storage that you want to add to it, XYZ, you can end up getting a lot more. And so what's interesting is for these fully renovated units, and I'll show you kind of what
RUBS program.
It's RUBS program, yes. You finish the bedrooms, you finish this one, nice bathroom. We ended up getting $1,450 on average for a fully renovated unit gross rent. And right now we've done 29 of the 56 units. And we said, hey, if we sell now when the market's hot, there's still meat on the bone for those that want to come in and finish renovating the rest of the units. So it makes this an appealing project because we've already proved out the concept. We've already showed that you can go get rents up. And so now we average about $1,100 total, including the units that we haven't renovated and the units that we have. We've also re-signed leases on the unrenovated units at about a $990 rate, with not doing anything to them. Just by making the complex legit, it's gone from $800 to $990. So we've added about $600 per door at these things that are fully renovated, which has helped us increase the value of the property. So let me tell you the story. I bought 2 fourplexes back in 2015. So this is 6 years ago. You're like, well, how did he make millions of dollars? I paid $300,000 for these 2 fourplexes. And so I took the 8 units. They grew and appreciated. Didn't do anything. I built these. I sold them 4 years later. And I made $1 million from that 300,000. These $600,000 properties then turned into a little over $1 million properties each. And I then said, okay, let's take all that money out. Because Jason and I sat down one day after him being in a Bigger Pockets podcast. He's like, hey, I'm really smart with real estate. And I was like, well, what would you do if you were me with all the real estate that I have? And he said, well, you have so much equity in these fourplexes. Why don't you sell or refi those and cash out and roll it into something more? And this is the key point on real estate. He said, if you had, let's say, $2 million of real estate growing at a 10% a year increase of appreciation, that $2 million makes you, X amount of dollars per year. He said, if you have $10 million of real estate and the market goes up by 10%, then you just made more money because the market's going to go up either way. So would you rather have $2 million appreciating or $10 million appreciating of a total value of real estate portfolio? And that right there is what hit me. And I go, oh yeah. So what would you do? He's like, well, I do this and this and this. I'm like, all right, go do it. So he sold off my 8 units. We took the million something and we put it into this 56plex. And then I said, hey, well, what's the plan here? He said, well, we're going to increase the rents. We're going to renovate a bunch of the units and we're going to sell it in a couple years, 2 to 3 years. So we happen to sell this thing. We bought it for $7.54. We put $700,000 in, so 8.2. And then of the bank's money, we got an extra bank loan. We total put in $1.6 million. And we said, hey, here's $1.6 million for this project that was a total cost of $8.2 million. We then now just closed in December of 2021. We bought it in January of 2020. So literally not even 2 years. And we just closed for 11.5 million. So total is we made 4.2 something million. And we took that 1.6, turned it into 4.2 something million. And that's over a 3.6, what is that? Million.
$2.6 million profit.
$2.6 million.
65% return before tax savings.
But here's the kicker, and this is where most people don't realize that, yeah, we just did a 165% return on our money. But here's what's crazy is the tax benefit, meaning I owed, say, $300,000 in taxes last year. Because you can appreciate this asset, or you can depreciate the asset, I was able to tax shelter over $1 million of tax money I was going to pay. So now I got to say, instead of giving the government $300,000, I got to keep that $300,000 because of the accelerated depreciation. So not only did we make XYZ, or 2 point something million, we said, hey, let's save on taxes, and he got to take the tax depreciation, I got to take the tax depreciation, and that's how we not only grew money, but saved and not paid the government. And so when a lot of people think like, oh, I make all this money, and then they buy a nice truck, and then they buy nice cars, and then they go to who knows where land, and I'm like, dude, before you do any of that, start chalking your money away. And what's so important about this story is when I was the top rep in sales at Vivint, I had made a lot of money, and that's why I was able to put the $300,000 into these units. Where I drove a Kia Optima, most of my friends were driving BMWs, fancy trucks. I said, dude, I'm 20 something years old. Why would I need to go buy these super cool cars and boats and this stuff? I said, let me put my money in real estate. Now those same friends 6 years later, none of them can say they're multimillionaires off of these real estate plays they did 6 years ago. Most of them are still just trying to buy another truck, buy that truck, buy that, you know what I mean? And it's embarrassing sometimes to be like, dude, had you just been semi-disciplined or worked extra hard in the summer or done extra sales just to say, I want to start getting into real estate, and been smart about it and taken risks and put your money side by side with really smart people, you could be in the same spot too. Now I'm not sitting here having to worry about money. I've got myself setting up myself for legacy. And what are we doing now? So now we close on the deal, we make our millions, and now what do?
We're rolling up into bigger units to do the same thing, really. The focus this time is going to be to cash flow a little stronger. I think that's a need that you and I both talked about wanting to have a little more income from. And so we're going to do a value add play between 3 deals, obviously placing 4.6 million isn't as easy. We're talking about bigger dollar sizes now, and so we'll diversify between a few different assets. But again, I want to look for a value add investment. It's looking at distressed property that has some kind of value add component, a way to take it from its current value and increase it significantly, stabilize it through higher rents, refinance through a cash out refi, or selling it. And so I think you and I want a big pop on the money one more time, and then from there figure out what our income stream is going to look like and lock in more bonus depreciation losses, because the tax shelter benefits is significant for both you and I against our active income. And so having the tax benefit is going to be an important part in that. So many people don't understand how their capital is actually working for them, and that's the part that I love, is actually dissecting and analyzing the return on investment or return on equity. That way you know really where your profit's coming from, how illiquid or liquid the return is, so that if a recession were to take place, how discomforting would that be, and how protected are we or aren't we? And so those things go into a lot of the modeling as far as what's a good property versus what's not a good property. But again, yeah, tax benefit, income, and total return will be a big part of that.
So I want to hear your guys' comments. Comment below if you think the market's going to crash. I want to hear your 2 cents. Is the market still going to be as hot as it is? Are we going into a recession? So tell us what you think. Put a comment in the section below. So now that we've done this, I hope you guys got some value, and you guys can do the same thing, not on a 56plex. You might just do this on a single family home. You might do the same principle on a 3plex, a 4plex. But my 2 cents is start surrounding yourself with people that are making moves and start doing something with your money, because with right now the inflation rate being 6%, your money sitting in the bank it could even be more than 6%. With how inflation is going, you're losing money by not putting it to work. So do something about that. Hope you guys got some value out of this. We will see you guys on the next episode, and we outie. Go follow Jason Harris with Harris Investment Group. Great person to work with. They've got a lot of projects they're working on, so great person to team up with. So check them out.